Dr. Wheeler.
Thank you. One, two, three. Do we really think there's anything left for me to say? It's nice to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. I'm honored by it and actually a little abashed by it. I'm from the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. It's in the Carnegie classification of a really big public university. And it is really big. We have about 42,000 students on campus now, and about 10,000 of them are in graduate or professional, post-baccalaureate professional degrees. I'm not sure what the counts are anymore, but we have something like 90 to 100 doctoral programs, I think, and about a couple hundred masters programs and some certificate of advanced studies programs thrown in along with them. So it's a massive enterprise, sort of loosely aggregated around the graduate college, but largely dispersed into many units, some of which have several graduate programs within them, some of which are really focused around the one that whole schools, say, are involved in providing a school of social work degree, say. It was my great privilege to be the dean of the graduate college for a long time. I was there for almost 9 years, I think, and I ran my head up against a lot of the kinds of problems that we're talking about today, and then I finally found the solution for them, which was to get out of the way of Deba, who came in to be our graduate dean, and sort of do things that I didn't know how to do, basically. And Deba has been absolutely splendid. I don't know if you know Deba Dutta, but he's our graduate dean now, and he's, among other things, got us into the IGRIT business where we had failed for years, and really done enormous things to strengthen our relationships to agencies in DC and to corporations as well. But I was in the business for a long time. I was active with CGS. I was involved in a lot of programs that study graduate education, and I had the unusual fortune of being on the NRC as doctoral assessment committee, which at least set a record for the length of time it takes to get out the results of a survey. And I think did some good as well. I mean, produced a report that is baffling at first, but useful, I think, once you start delving into it. And yet what I'm struck by as I listen to the speakers today, including the just extraordinary panels this morning, and I was especially impressed by the business panel. It always is depressing to see business people thinking more clearly than I find my colleagues thinking when I go into meetings at the university. There's probably a reason for that, but it's not one that I face easily. But what I'm struck by is how much I don't understand about where we are. Now, certain places I think I'm pretty solid. The CGS story that we saw unfold in the video before, I think has got it right in terms of providing the sort of basic foundation for why we're in this business. We're living in a world that's increasingly dependent upon knowledge and skills and ideas to drive it forward. The undergraduate degree is no longer providing what is needed, the level of what is needed to drive that world forward. So where is it going to come from? And to a very significant degree, it's going to come from graduate schools. There are the geniuses out there who will innovate and do wonderful things, whether they ever make it past the 12th grade or not. But for the most part, the people who will be making those powerful contributions are graduate students who either will get their degree or not. I actually was quite taken by the comment that made by one of the speakers in the business panel about the value of graduate education independently of the degree that may or may not culminate it. I think that is probably true, and it probably is some consolation in that as we flagellate ourselves every now and again for our low completion rates. You take away a lot from this stuff. Degree completion, of course, is one of the things we've worried about most for the last several years, spearheaded in many ways by the wonderful study that CGS conducted on doctoral completion, in which we were lucky to be a part of at Illinois. But it is, after all, not the degree that's going to produce the ideas. It's the education that produces the ideas. And when you've got what you need to go forward in the world, then probably you should go forward in the world. One of the things that really struck me about the panel of people from corporations this morning was, I think it was Mr. Shearer's talk, when he just gave a very simple PowerPoint slide, had a line down the middle. This is what people used to be like in my line of work. Here's what they're like now. Now, that's an incredibly useful thing to do. And I really, I want to say I would like to know how many of our graduate programs have ever conducted an exercise like that, but I think I know. I think probably none of them has, really. I mean, people grumble about it's not the way it used to be, and they're not like me. They can't get by on pork and beans 7 days a week and graduate in 3 years or whatever, which is true. But there's more there to think about than to grumble about. Finally, it is a different group of people that we're dealing with now from the ones. So most of you knew when you were in graduate school, and certainly the ones I knew back in another era altogether when I was in graduate school. And it's really important that we figure out who they are and why they're there, and probably even more importantly, why they're not there. I mean, why are people not coming to graduate school who once did. I think it is simply true that graduate school just doesn't have the allure now that it had for a long time in many sectors of society. I come out of an English department. I was once confident that I could call myself a Shakespearean and not have to titter at myself. I don't have that confidence anymore, but it's not a background that prepares you for data-driven studies. And graduate education is a data-driven operation. I mean, data is so important in the work that we all do. And we look at a lot of data on who goes to graduate school and how long it takes them to go through, how many start and don't finish, how many start and do finish, and whatever. And the demographics of graduate education are themselves really very interesting for what they tell us. I mean, they tell us that minority participation in graduate education is growing, which is a very good thing. They tell us that female participation in graduate education, especially doctoral education, is growing at a somewhat faster rate, and that's surely a good thing. International student populations have just soared in the last several years. They took a little dip after 9/11, but they seem to be really robust again at our place and others. CGS always does a study of this, and I think the trend lines have been pretty solid for the last few years. Where the numbers are dropping, and not just in terms of percentage of the whole, but in absolute numbers, are with white males, American students, and I think that's kind of alarming. Although the arithmetic says if everyone's going to go up, somebody has to go down. I mean, we don't all live in Lake Wobegon when it comes to data, and I'm not saying this out of concern for domestic white males. They do okay. I mean, they do okay. We seem to be, as a species, getting stupider over the years, but they're still out there. They got a lot of money. They get the education they need for what they want, and they go out and do it. It increasingly doesn't involve going on to research degrees. I guess that's the point I'm trying to get to here. And the question that raises for me is, why is the demographic group that is most privileged, that has the most going for it in terms of their ability to choose their future and create their future with assets already available to them, why is that the group that's dropping in population in our graduate programs. And I don't know the answer to that exactly, but I think it's probably a question that's worth asking a little bit. It probably has to do with the depressed academic market in many, many fields for the last several years. My own area in the humanities has really been a depressed market for the entire time that I've been in it.